this will be a very short speech. I broke the microphone. Good afternoon, everyone. Is that better? You can hear me? Well, we just had a really nice lunch. We're all full. We had a great dessert, and you've got a government official talking to you now. So I'm going to do my best to try to make it lively and keep you awake and talk to you about what we're doing in the States on broadband. I'm pretty passionate about this issue, so I hope that you will feel it as I talk to you today. First of all, I really want to thank Rory and his incredible staff for having us here. It's been a wonderful experience. We were able to spend one day in Peru and then go around the countryside and meet some small business owners and really take in the country. And it's truly beautiful here. You are very fortunate to have this area. Before I get started, I really want to introduce my right-hand person, Thad Inge. Thad joined our staff about 8 months ago. We were able to get him from Senator Landrieu's staff, and she is chair of our Small Business Committee. So Thad brings us a breadth of knowledge on all small business issues, and he was really involved with the broadband issues. So he's been a delight to be working with, and I'm so glad he's on our staff. Before I go much further, I just want to tell you a little bit about my job. I was appointed a year ago by President Obama to be the acting chief counsel for advocacy. It's a presidential job, Senate confirmation. And we have a nominee. In fact, he was confirmed a week ago. Unfortunately, he could not join you, which I'm glad I was able to fill in his shoes for one last time since I've been so involved with the broadband issue. So with that said, I want to tell you a little bit about the Office of Advocacy, because we're pretty unique to the federal government. We were set up by Congress to be the watchdog for small business within the federal government. And that means we look at all rules and regulations that impact small business, and we have a say in those rules. And we're not against rules. We're not against clean air. We're not against clean water. We just want to make sure that those rules are fair for our small businesses. Advocacy's mission, simply stated, is to encourage policies that support the development and growth of American small businesses. And to give you a little tidbit here, in 2009 alone, we were able to save small businesses $7 billion in regulatory costs. And what that translates to, it enables them to do what they do best, and that's create jobs and provide services and be involved in their local communities. I have been involved in a number of issues at the SBA since I was appointed last year, but one that has been of particular interest to me is the importance of broadband to the growth and development of small businesses. The expansion of broadband has been a top priority of President Obama and others in the last 2 years as an important tool in turning around our economy and creating more jobs. It's all about jobs in the U.S. right now. In 2009, Congress passed the Recovery Act, which included an unprecedented amount of money for broadband infrastructure in the U.S. The new focus on broadband, coupled with the Recovery Act funding, has produced a number of policies and programs across the federal government. I will tell you a little bit about these programs and try to give you a snapshot of what is being done in the U.S. to try to bring broadband to more rural areas and small business. As in the UK, small business is a key driver of the United States economy. Recent data show that small businesses make up 99.7% of all businesses, and employ just over half of the private sector employees. These small entities have generated 64% of the net new jobs in the U.S. over the past 15 years, and have created half of the non-farm gross domestic product. Small businesses are also a key driver in our innovative economy, producing 13 times more patents per employee than large firms, and making up 97.3% of all exporters. So you can see why broadband is so important to our economy. We need to get our small businesses up to speed so they can export to other countries. While these data demonstrate the importance of small business in the U.S. economy, there exists the potential for even greater small business contributions to economic growth and job creation. Broadband is a transformative technology that allows small businesses to access customers throughout the world. We have sought to provide small businesses with more affordable access to adequate speeds of broadband so they can take advantage of the expanded markets and opportunities to innovate. While the U.S. has been active in trying to expand broadband in recent years, we certainly have our fair share of challenges. The most important challenge is ensuring that small telecom providers have a fair playing field in which to compete. It's not much different than what you're going through in the UK. This is critically important because a competitive regulatory environment that reduces prices and expands broadband service is the best way to ensure that small businesses have affordable broadband access. Small telecom and broadband companies create competition to the market and often are the companies that service the rural areas. Despite the importance of small providers, and we call them our mom and pops out there, we've taken our staff out to meet with them. They're active in their communities. They drive down the street. Everyone waves at them. They know them. They're critical to their local environments. But the current regulatory regime can make it very difficult for those small companies to compete with the large telecom providers. Two of the problems in the U.S. are the ability of small broadband providers to access broadband lines and their ability to acquire spectrum. Small carriers have continuously reported increased rates for access to broadband lines. The current price of access specifically demonstrates a lack of competition in the market. Large companies are able to raise prices without losing customers and do not have the incentive to expand their networks to reach underserved areas. The combination of high prices and few alternatives creates a barrier to entry for small business providers that can meet the needs of these underserved areas. The Office of Advocacy has worked hard to help small providers get the fair prices for access they are entitled to under the law. And this is a real heated issue, just as it is over here in the UK. In addition, advocacy is committed to working to ensure that small entities have access to acquiring spectrum. We have urged the Federal Communications Commission to consider amending its designated entity rules, which allows smaller companies that qualify to compete in spectrum auctions with the use of bidding credits, making another level playing field for our small businesses. In February of 2009, President Obama signed into law the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which appropriated $7.2 billion for the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Commerce to expand broadband access and adoption in communities across the United States, with the goal of increasing jobs and spurring investments in technology and infrastructure. At the Department of Agriculture, which received $2.5 billion, the money is being used for loans and grants for broadband infrastructure projects in rural areas. The program is called Broadband Initiatives Program, or BIP. At the Department of Commerce, the $4.7 billion they received is providing grants and loans to fund comprehensive broadband infrastructure projects, public computer centers, and sustainable broadband adoption centers. The program at the Department of Commerce is called the Broadband Technologies Opportunity Program, or BTOP. Now, I want you to remember all this because there will be a test before I end today. We love acronyms in the States. Thank you, sorry, Ward. As Vice President Biden and the White House noted last month in announcing a number of these awards, Recovery Act broadband projects help bring down the cost of private investment, attract internet service providers to new areas, improve digital literacy among students and workers, and help create new opportunities in employment, education, and entrepreneurship by wiring homes and businesses. With new or increased broadband access, communities can compete on a level playing field to attract new businesses, schools can create distance learning opportunities, medical professionals can provide cost-efficient remote care, and business owners can expand the markets for their products beyond their neighborhoods to better compete in the global economy. Two other pieces include the Recovery Act funding, where a mandate for the National Broadband Map and the National Broadband Plan, which I'm happy to say Eric will be talking about after my speech. The map will be available next spring and will enable investors, providers, and policymakers to better understand broadband availability and to make more data-driven decisions. The National Broadband Plan, which was prepared by the Federal Communications Commission and released last March, seeks to lay out a strategy to ensure that all people in the United States have access to affordable broadband. While the United States continues to address challenges in ensuring universal broadband coverage, President Obama made great strides in jumpstarting this effort by making an important